To promote my latest book, The Tao of Craft, a book on Taoist magic and crafting sigils in the Eastern esoteric traditions, I'll let you take a peek inside my personal book of methods. Wait, hold up, you're probably asking, what the heck is a book of methods? In the 1st century AD, Taoist occultists who practiced ceremonial magic, inner or outer alchemy, exorcisms, or any of the divinatory arts were called methods masters. Fang means methods or methodology. Shi means a scholar or erudite. This translates into English as methods master. The personal log, journal, or magical record of a methods master would be called a fang shu or book of methods. The book of methods was essentially a grimoire. Chapter 6 in the Tao of Craft covers the historic and cultural context of the Book of Methods. A glimpse into a historic book of methods is provided in the book, and I also talk a bit about my own. Now in this video, I'll be sharing a glimpse of what my book of methods or personal record keeping looks like. Many of the sigils and illustrations featured in the Tao of Craft came from my personal book. If the Tao of Craft is a general treatise on Eastern sigil crafting, then this private book you're about to see demonstrates how the principles from the Tao of Craft might be applied in actual practice. I'm going to try to be clear here. The published printed book, The Tao of Craft, is about the principles, the history, the general culture, and the theory of food talisman crafting. Whereas this video shows you my personal book of methods, which is only one possible and very personal application of what the Tao of Craft tries to expound upon. In fact, a grimoire or book of methods should not follow the layout of my book because this thing is chaos. There's no organization, no page numbering. It's kind of a mess. Let's start there first, the lack of organization. Here's how not to go about your personal grimoire. There is no table of contents for starters. I didn't number the pages. Those are two things I really should have done. Leave front page room for a table of contents and number my pages. See, in my book, you can go from a random page of information on magical workings during eclipses, and then origami instructions to fold ingots for prayers and ancestor offerings, and then out of nowhere, a hex, and then evoking particular deities from the Taoist pantheon. Ultimately, it's not a big deal for me because somehow I am able to find whatever it is I need in this book. So because of the specific relationship between my book and me, I ended up not really needing it to be organized. And yeah, I said relationship. To me, this grimoire has an independent life force that's all its own. To me, you could say this book is alive. Here, check out some of the passages from the recitation that I used to activate the book. Awaken, book of knowledge, book of rights. I call down from heaven, I draw from earth. I summon from within me the power to awaken this book. Breathe life into this book, shine light into its pages, give it the power to create and destroy, and deliver its spirit and life force. These pages shall see, the ink shall speak. The book obeys my command, and I heed its counsel. My book has its own special resting place. I even have an empowered figurine to watch over and safeguard my book, a little gargoyle from Notre Dame. The entire book is done by hand, essentially in pen and ink, although I won't deny that I love the end result and how the pages look when I'm done. The real magic here is in the process of rendering each page. I think of the painstaking process of writing and drawing in here as meditation, or maybe art therapy. I am being changed in real time while I create this grimoire. My change, in turn, adds power and energy to the book. Part of what gives my grimoire its life force, why the book itself is, to me, magical, is because all of it is done in longhand, every detail, line, curve, every letter, and every dot. Every once in a while, you may see splashes of color, and of course, because I'm human, when I've really messed up a page beyond salvage, I will cut and paste new paper over the mess up. To hide the obvious cut and paste of paper, I'll draw thick black or ornate borders around the edges of the pasted in paper, so whenever you see beautiful ornamentation, you're also probably looking at a patch-up job to cover a mistake. My grimoire, my book of methods, is itself a tool. I'll use the sigils I've crafted as is right from the book to do what I do. Because I recite mantras and channel energy through my hand and through my pen while I draw or write into the book, because the pens I use and all writing tools that touch this book are first consecrated through long, involved rituals, because I time the writing and drawing of certain entries in the book to astrology, because I'll drain the chi energy from other natural objects and transfer that energy directly into my book to be contained within my book, because of the measures I observe, I believe the pages of my book can hold, even modify energy, are empowered, are, if you will, magical. I find that the book even works for bibliomancy. So if I need an effigy of a particular spirit, I believe the kaiguang can be done directly from the page spread in my book depicting that deity or spirit. What's kaiguang, you're asking? That's covered in the Tao of Craft, Chapter 7, starting on page 169. Kaiguang is mentioned several times, in fact. Be sure to check out the index. The published book covers the principles and historic or general cultural applications. My private book I'm showing you here demonstrates how I've interpreted those principles for myself in my own practice and path. In Appendix B, you'll find a compendium of Chinese characters you might be able to incorporate into your own sigil crafting. But as the Tao of Craft explains, these Chinese characters aren't usually used in their ordinary written form. They become heavily stylized into fuwen. The stylized fuwen is the magical sigil that is borrowing the energy and meaning from the ordinary written character. Some entries are done as part of ritual, where I must face a certain direction and light certain candles or incense, cast sacred space, the whole metaphysical 9 yards. Some of the ornate detailing and pointillism is done while reciting mantras, dharanis, or sutras, or I'll play the audio of, say, the Heart Sutra or Diamond Sutra while I do the drawings, and I'm making sure I'm doing it during a new moon or full moon. I don't fill every page in order. Sometimes I'll feel like a page should be left blank for the time being, but I'll draw in a decorative border, then return later in time to complete the entry. One of the front title pages of every one of my books begins with a page that kind of looks like this, with an owl and swan. Throughout my whole life, since I was a kid, I've felt connected to both the owl and the swan. The owl embodies the dark facet of my practice, and the swan embodies the light. The owl is magic, knowledge, science, wisdom, and esoterica. The swan is divination, rites and ritual, liturgy, self-determination, grace, and beauty. The owl and the swan are the namesake for my book, this grimoire, or book of methods. They represent both protection and aspiration, guidance, and the expression of both my inner and my outer cultivation. Thank you so much for watching, and if I've managed to pique your interest in any way, please check out the Tao of Craft. If esoteric Taoism is part of your path or practice, then I hope you'll get this book, and I also hope you'll find it both insightful and informative. Even if esoteric Taoism is not part of your path, for me, I've always found that when I read and study other magical traditions that are very different from my own, it enhances and really rounds out my understanding of my own path. There is a universal truth out there, and learning about how various cultures or civilizations express that truth is how we cultivate a deeper, broader understanding of craft. At the end of the day, science is science, above culture and uniting different paths. Craft also transcends culture and tradition. The Tao of Craft is published by North Atlantic Books, distributed by Penguin Random House, and available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Powell's, or your local independent bookstore. For publicity inquiries, please contact Bevan Donahue.